Okay, we're back to the duck here. I'm going to use this to show you how to do the next selection method I want to talk about, which is called quick mask. Quick mask. So really what it is, it's not complicated at all. In fact, it's a real easy way to select things. It lets you paint what you want. So you can pick a brush tool, like in this case the brush, B for brush, set the brush the way you want it. Right now this brush is a particular size. I could size it up or down. And one thing I haven't shown you about the brush while we're setting it is don't want the brush to be soft or hard edged. Soft or hard edged. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And before we start, we need to use the quick mask method. We have to enter what's called quick mask mode. And if you look in our toolbox down towards the bottom of it, there's a button down at the very bottom. It's called the quick mask button. And if I click on it, we actually enter quick mask mode. Now, a few things change when you click on that. Notice these two boxes at the bottom of the toolbox, these color boxes. I click on it, suddenly they go black and white. Also, the name of my file has a parentheses and it says quick mask at the end of it. So we've entered quick mask mode. It can be confusing for some people because you can't really tell just looking at your duck that you've changed places. But we've gone from our normal mode into our quick mask mode. Before we start, we need to make sure our quick mask settings are right. So we have to check our brush settings before we use this, and we have to check our quick mask settings. And to check our quick mask settings, we have to double click on that quick mask button at the bottom. I'm going to double click here. Brings up this little simple menu. And I want to make sure it's on selected areas and the opacity is on 50%, and it can be whatever color I want this to be, but we're going to leave it on red, kind of a standard default mask that Photoshop uses. And the way it'll work is, if I start painting, the mask will look like that. See how it's kind of got a soft, this is a soft edged mask. Well, that soft edge would be great if I was trying to select these shadows in here on the duck. I'd paint those shadows in, kind of select that area. So let's say I wanted to change the shadows on these feathers. I'm painting them in. Now the mask that I'm painting in is red, but it's using black and white to do so. So for instance, if I switch these black and white boxes, hit this little arrow right here that flips white to the top, that erases the mask, just in case I mess up or I want to start again. I can erase it back off using white in that upper left-hand corner box. If I want to paint the mask back in, I switch it back to black. Lets me paint it back in. So I'm painting in those shadow areas. If I wanted a larger brush, I could switch up to a larger brush just to kind of get a little bit more of a sweep to it. Once I get it painted in, I'm almost done. I click the quick mask button again. Takes me back to normal mode, and whatever I painted is now blinking. It's got a selected edge, and it's got a soft edge because I was using a soft brush. So if I did some change to this right now, I brought up curves, darkened it. See, it's darkening that area of the duck down there with a nice soft edge on it. Okay, now let's say you wanted to select something with a hard edge. Well, in this case, I'm going to go back to quick mask, and the easy way, if you don't want to click on that button at the bottom, do it that way. You can just hit Q on your keyboard. Q takes you to quick mask, and Q takes you back out of it. Q for quick. Hit Q. This time I'm going to change my brush from this soft edge that we see there to a hard edge, because I want to try to paint in, let's say, around the duck's head. Up here where it says brush in this control panel, the variables again for the tool that we're using. I'm going to click this little drop down arrow next to 100. This little menu pops up, and you see where it says hardness right there? I'm going to slide that all the way to the right. Now when I use this quick mask brush, look at that. It'll be a nice hard edge, which is ideal for anything that's any type of object or whatever that's got a hard edge to it. So what you would do, you'd literally come in here and paint with it. Paint it in. You got to be kind of careful because you're using your mouse to do it, and it's easy to mess up. You can click and drag. A little trick, one guy taught me one time, you can click, hold the shift key down and move the circle down and it'll connect. Like if I click right here, if I have a big stretch, I can click shift and it'll jump all the way. It's not really working too good along the curve of that duck's body. Now, some people, I think beginners really like the quick mask because it lets you paint and zoom in and really take your time and pick smaller brushes, but look, it's easy to mess up like that. So if you mess up, you switch it back to white and you can erase this off. So that's why I say beginners like it, because it does give you a lot of control, but the bad part is it's really mouse dependent, how good you are with a mouse. So if you zoom in, you can tell, you really have to be careful with it. I mean, look at that. You can mess up, switch it back to red. to black to paint the red in. And don't let that confuse you. You know, this black-white thing here. Black paints the red stuff in. White erases this red stuff, this mask, back out. And if you were trying to mask something that was red, well, you wouldn't want to use a red mask color on it. You'd want to pick some mask color that was different than red, so it'd be easier to see. Now, so we do that by double-clicking on the mask button. Brings up this little options box, and I can click that red square, and I can make it be whatever color I want. I could do a green mask if I wanted to. And that would work just fine, too. It would look like that. Okay, so really what I want you to remember here is you paint in what you want using black in quick mask mode. Black paints in the mask. That arrow switches it. White erases it back out. Hard edge brush for hard edged areas, like this. Soft edge brush for softer areas like shadows. It would be great for selecting clouds and shadows in the ocean and that sort of stuff. Okay. And once you get the way you like it, you leave quick mask mode, hit the button or click the button Q, and what you painted was selected. So it's just another strategy for selecting things, but it's really good for selecting shadow areas or things where you need a soft edge.